Come on in and join me around this warm campfire while we talk about camping safety tips and read a story about camping. Today's activity is for children ages 3 to 5. Now let's get started. First, we're going to talk about camping safety tips, which I have written down here. Our first one is stay a safe distance from the campfire because you do not want to burn yourself. Secondly, stay together. We want to stay together when we leave the campsite or even when we're at the campsite in case something happens and we get hurt or something else so the other person can go and get help. Third, do not touch any of the wildlife in the woods. So if you go for a hike and you see an animal in the woods, we want to make sure we keep our distance and don't touch them because they could bite us or they could be poisonous. Lastly, keep your shoes on at all times. We want to make sure that we keep our shoes on in the camp when we're camping because we don't want to step on something sharp or get something in our foot because we are going to be outdoors. All right. We are going to read a story today called Llama Llama Loves Camping by Anna Dewdney, illustrated by Anna Dewdney, and it was published in 2018. I'm excited to go camping tomorrow, Llama Llama tells his friends. He has never been camping overnight. Neither has Nellie, Luna, Gilroy, or Elu said. It'll be super fun, Mama Llama says, and Grandma Llama and I will be with you the whole time. Camping is going to be very different from being at home, says Llama. Luna nods. We'll be out in the open under the trees and sky, and we won't have any kitchen or house things like a refrigerator, an oven, or lights, says Gilroy. Elu said looked worried. After all, he loves gadgets. We can't use any machines while we camp, he asked. That's right, says Mama Llama. We are just going to bring the essentials. Essentials are the few things we really need. But don't worry, Elu said. It's only for one day and night. The next day is warm and sunny as the campers arrive at the campground. Welcome to our overnight adventure in the woods, says Grandma Llama. Llama Llama and his friends cheer loudly. Everyone has one bag except for Elu said. He's carrying 2. Don't worry, he explains. I only brought the essentials. That's a lot of essentials, Nellie says with a laugh. Okay, campers, says Mama Llama. Let's go for a hike while it's still light outside. Elu said pulls a handheld gadget out of one of his bags. I can plug our route into my directional device, he says. Remember, Elu said, Llama says kindly, no gadgets allowed. Elu said sighs. Okay, he says, putting it away. Not using gadgets isn't going to be easy. Mama Llama leads the campers along the trail in the woods. Wow, says Llama, looking around. The trees are so tall. I wonder how tall they are, Elu says. Can I measure them with my digital tape measure? Luna shakes her head. No gadgets, she reminds him. Oh yeah, he says. When the group gets farther into the woods, Mama Llama asks the campers to stop for a moment. Let's listen to the sounds of nature, she says. What do you hear? Llama pauses. I hear birds chirping, he says. I hear leaves rustling, says Luna. I hear a tree creaking, says Gilroy. Nellie points to a bee. I hear him buzzing, she says. I hear all that too, says Elu said, and I hear water flowing in the distance. The sounds in the woods are very different from the sounds at home, says Luna. Yeah, says Nellie. There are machine sounds, beep, ring, ring, woo, woo, she says at her imitation of a siren laughing. Elu said pulls a tape recorder and camera from his bag. I want to make a recording to remember the sounds, he explains. Mama Llama smiles at Elu said. For this trip, let's just listen hard to remember everything, she says. I forgot, says Elu said. This no gadgets thing is tougher than I thought. After their hike, Llama and his friends help Mama Llama and Graham set up camp. Instead of a house, they have a tent. Instead of a refrigerator, they have a cooler with ice. Instead of an oven, they have a roaring campfire. It takes some work to camp out, says Mama Llama, but it helps you appreciate the nice things you have at home a little more. Later, the campers eat a delicious dinner around the campfire, and now it's time for dessert, says Grandma Llama, handing out sticks. Do we just eat these? asks Gilroy. No, says Graham, laughing. You eat these marshmallows after we roast them on the fire. As the sun sets, everyone roasts marshmallows over the fire. They taste delicious, even better than a dessert you make at home. It's getting pretty dark out, says Nellie. It is, says Lucid, but it's pretty nice roasting marshmallows in nature, he adds, with no gadgets. Finally, it's time for bed. Inside the tent, the campers cozy in their sleeping bags. Once they're all tucked in, Mama Llama has an idea. Let's listen closely to the sounds outside and pretend they're music, she says. The campers close their eyes and they hear crickets chirping, they hear a bird calling, they hear the wind whooshing, and an owl hooting. It sounds like they're all talking to each other, says Llama. The music of the forest is very peaceful. As they listen to the nighttime sounds, the campers slowly drift off to sleep. In the morning, sunlight streams into the tent. The campers wake up feeling refreshed. Mama Llama and Graham are very proud of Llama and his friends for spending the entire night in the woods. But everyone is especially proud of Lucid. Good job, cheers Llama Llama. You didn't use any gadgets on our camp out. Thank you, he says. It was a fun challenge. I liked the woods. The other campers agreed. Can we go on another hike before we leave, Nellie asks. We sure can, says Grandma Llama. But first, breakfast. Can we use my electric waffle maker, says Lucid. Oh, wait, he adds. That's kind of a gadget, isn't it? He made it this far without using machines. He isn't going to stop now. And that's the end of our story. Now, to reflect on our story, I have some questions. Who is the main character? Or who are the main characters of the story? Where's the story take place at? And did the campers use any of the safety tips that I had shared? Now, we have one more activity, which is more hands-on. As we move on to our next activity, it is a literary activity that has to do more hands-on with hand-eye coordination. So each student is going to be given a paper that has their initials so they can connect the dots. And each student is given a plate with a small amount of paint with a marshmallow on one end of a wooden stick, and they are going to use the marshmallow as a paintbrush and trace their name or their initials, and it will turn out something like this. And then we will put it on the drying rack, and after it dries for 10 minutes we will share our paintings and discuss the topic that we talked about today. As we wait for our paintings to dry, we are going just to review again the camping safety tips that we talked about briefly in the beginning. So yet again, the first one is stay a safe distance from the campfire. Secondly, always stay together in the campsite or when you are hiking or whatever you're doing in the woods. Do not touch any of the wildlife in the woods because you never know, they could be poisonous or bite you. And lastly, keep your shoes on at all times. And there are many other safety tips, but these are the main ones that I think are important. And that's all. Thank you.